The story begins in the normal world. We meet a totally ordinary guy living his life. Then one day he gets killed and reincarnated in another world. Unlike other stories, he does not reincarnate as a great hero, but as a magical sword. As a magical sword, he has a lot of great powers in this world. He can use telekinesis so that he makes himself fly. He then starts to explore this new magical world and learns about monsters that live in it and how to defeat them. Now he only needs to find a worthy wielder who will use him as a perfect weapon. While that is happening, we meet a black cat girl called Fran. She is a slave and lives a horrible life. Every day is torture and she has a very hard time working. Fran dreams that one day she will be able to escape her slavers and have a great adventure and destiny. Sword still continues to upgrade his power. The sword now goes into the forest and there's something horrible happens. For some reason, the sword's magic gets totally drained. It can no longer fly nor move. The sword gets trapped in the forest, totally alone for many months. We once again see what is happening with Fran. She is owned by human slavers, and one day a bear monster attacks them. Fran sees that many of her friends are also being killed by the monsters in the attack. Fran tries to help, but she is just not that strong. Soon enough, she spots a sword nearby. Fran approaches the sword, and as soon as she touches the handle, she can hear its voice. The two communicate, and the sword can now fly once more. The sword thinks that Fran is worthy, so he shows her various skills and powers. Fran then gets turned into a great warrior, and with the sword, she goes to fight the bear monster. After a brutal fight, Fran manages to kill the beast. The slave owners that torture Fran start to demand that she gives them the sword. When Fran refuses, the slavers start to attack her. Sword is now furious with these slavers, so it kills them in an instant. The sword also burns Fran's slave contract, so that she is now a free person. The sword thinks that Fran is worthy, so it officially asks her to be his wielder. Fran is very happy to finally have a friend, and she decides to call the sword Teacher. She thinks that the sword is going to teach her a lot of awesome powers. Teacher decides that his new life will now be focused on making sure that Fran is safe and that she achieves her dreams. Fran and Teacher begin their adventure and start traveling all over the magical world. The next time we see them, Fran and Teacher are sleeping in a wagon and are on their way to a city. This city is surrounded by giant stone walls, but there is danger everywhere as nearby goblins plan to invade the city. Fran and Teacher continue their journey and soon they meet another adventurer. This adventurer gets ambushed by a bunch of vicious goblins. Fran and Teacher get involved and kill the goblins. Teacher does not want anyone else to know that he can speak, so he remains silent. Fran and Teacher communicate with telepathy so that nobody can hear them. They soon arrive in Elisa town. It's a very nice place that has its own adventurer guild. When they arrive at the guild, they meet Nell, who is a receptionist there. Nell seems friendly at first, but she has a very dark secret that she wants to keep hidden. Nell tells Fran that before she joins the adventurer guild, she first must pass a test. This test is a battle simulation. The examiner who will be conducting the test is called Donadrand. He is a very powerful Oni. Fran and Teacher accept the test and get ready to show their skills. Fran and Teacher communicate during the test and they combine their magic and sword skills into one attack. Everyone is totally impressed. Nell notes that this should be impossible. Donadrand is really impressed and he admits that he has been defeated. Fran then meets with Guild Master Klimt and she becomes a sword mage. Fran decides to sell her loot and she earns a lot of gold. Other mercenaries are now really jealous of her as she's made a lot of money in a short time. The mercenaries think that the black cat girl is just a thief and she made that money unfairly. They all start to harass Fran and decide to attack her. Nell gets involved and she helps her in the fight. Fran cuts one of the mercenaries' legs as he has insulted her black cat people. In the town, there is a push to get Fran arrested because of the attack, but Nell and the Guild of Adventurers prove that it was only self-defense. The mercenary that was cut wants Nell to heal him, but she refuses until he pays her a lot of gold. Teacher and Fran find a room where they will place their armors and loot. In the meantime, we see a dwarf adventurer who has a skill called God's Sight, and he knows that Teacher is a living and talking being. We find out that the dwarf adventurer is called Garrus and he meets Fran. He tells Fran that she should come to visit him at his shop. When Fran arrives there, Garrus reveals that he is a wandering blacksmith of Granzel and that many people want his skills. Many other adventurers are really jealous and angry at Garrus as he does not make weapons and armors for just anyone. He picks his clients very carefully, and that makes him problematic. Garrus sells Fran some of his magical armor. He then asks about Teacher. Teacher is a bit worried that he is not as powerful as other swords. Garrus and Teacher talk, and the dwarf explains that while Teacher might not be as powerful right now, he has a massive advantage. Teacher has really high mana conductivity, which means that the more magic Fran puts into him, he will become more and more powerful. Garrus also admits that he does not have enough skill to forge another sword like Teacher, and he admits that only a divine blacksmith could have created Teacher. Fran and Teacher pay Garrus to create some great and powerful gear for them. The goblins decide to get help from powerful hobgoblins. Fran and teacher then go on their first mission with other adventurers. The adventurers are called Krull, Eustace, and Lily. They all fight and defeat the hobgoblins. There are rumors that the Goblin King has evolved, and that is why the goblins are attacking so much. Fran attacks a nearby nest of goblins and gets injured but ignores her pain. Teacher gets worried about her. Fran manages to kill all the goblins, and then she announces that she will only become more strong in the future. All the adventurers come with more soldiers, and they find that many goblins appear from a dungeon. Clint then gathers a party to raid the dungeon the following day. Fran gets a promotion as well. Garrus repairs her armor and reveals that the dungeon masters have the power of Goddess of Chaos. Fran and teacher go to the bathhouse, and teacher is really embarrassed being surrounded by naked ladies. Nell tells Fran that she should not have brought her weapon to the bathhouse. Nell also reveals that the Goddess of Chaos creates challenges for this world so that it's always dangerous. The most evil was the god of war, and he was killed by other gods. The following day, Garrus gives teacher a new scabbard, and Fran joins the party that is going into the dungeon. The party is led by Donadrand. The goblins ambush them at the entrance, and many adventurers are killed in the battle. Fran, using her powers, kills many goblins and goes into the dungeon. We see one of the goblins inside the dungeon, and he brags that he just summoned a powerful monster that will uplift the Goblin Kingdom. Fran and teacher are so powerful in combat, they take out a lot of goblins. They also absorb crystals that the goblins were using. Soon enough, Fran encounters the Goblin King and Queen, and with one attack, she manages to kill both of them. All the adventurers realize that the dungeon is really massive, and they decide to go even deeper. After many battles, they soon find a hidden door. When they open it, they find a dungeon master. It's a highly intelligent goblin who has managed to summon a really powerful demon. The dungeon master brags that with this new demon he has summoned, soon he will defeat all the kingdoms and take over the world. The demon then gets mad at his goblin summoner and demands that he not give him orders. The demon then attacks Fran, and he is really powerful. Fran and teacher have a really hard time with the demon, and soon enough Fran gets her hand cut off in battle. Teacher uses his magic to heal her. While that is happening, the rest of the party cannot come and help Fran. Teacher wants Fran to run to safety, but she refuses. Fran goes to fight the demon once more. The demon uses a special skill called Skill Taker, and he takes away teacher from Fran, but it does not completely work. The dungeon master then decides to help his demon, but the demon refuses help from anyone. Teacher then orders Fran to attack the dungeon master, as the demon cannot survive without him. The demon realizes what is happening, so he protects the dungeon master from Fran's attacks. Fran then throws teacher at dungeon master. The demon tries to catch the sword, but it was all a trick. Teacher changes his direction and hits the demon, killing it. During the attack, teacher gets broken, and Fran thinks that he is dead. Teacher then reveals that he can repair himself. Fran and teacher are reunited once more, and they kill the dungeon master. The dungeon then disappears, and the rest of the party celebrate their success. Donadrand is angry at Fran for going off on her own and not waiting for the rest of the soldiers. Teacher promises to make some curry for Fran as a reward. It also gains a new power, the demon's Skill Taker power. Klimt then tells Fran and wants to know what happened with the demon's crystal. Fran does not reveal the fact that teacher absorbed the demon crystal. Klimt believes that Fran is telling the truth. August then arrives and calls Fran a liar, and they get into a heated argument. And that is the end of part 1 of the anime recap. Thank you so much for watching. Part 2 will be released soon.